Hey guys, Will from EDM Tips here. Now when you're in a professional studio with a singer and they're busy and successful and the studio's costing a lot, you have to work quickly and be able to come up with ideas very quickly. So in this video I'll show you a technique that you can use to generate ideas for bass lines and melodies and more very quickly in any key with no music background whatsoever. Now this video is actually taken from my course, Music Theory for EDM Producers, so if you like it, you found it useful, check out the link below this video. So I've got my Ableton project here and I've imported the drum loop from the lesson, and I've made sure that my project tempo is 123 because that's the tempo of the loop. And this is what it sounds like on its own. And it's in an 8-bar loop. Now what I've done now is create 2 extra tracks in Ableton. One is bass, so I've got my bass sound. And one is a sound for melody, and you can use any higher sound for this. I've picked this kind of pluck sound because I quite like it. And what I am going to do first is write the bass line. Now this is going to be in the key of C major because it's the simplest key because there are no black notes in it. So we just work with the white notes. I'm going to name it, go in, and we're going to use my template technique. And to do that, we draw in every note of the scale of C major. So I'm just counting up the intervals. So we've got 2 half steps, 2 half steps, 1 half step, 2 half steps, 2 half steps, 2 half steps, and 1 half step to the octave. And these are the intervals for all major scales. Now we're just going to select all of those and put them to one side. In fact, we're going to double up the octave just so we've got a bit more to work with. And then select all of those and just move them off to the side. So when we press fold, now we only have the note showing in the key of C major. And we've got 2 octaves of that. First I will just tap out a rhythm that I can feel with the beat. And I'm going to do this just on one note, and I'm going to do it on the root note of the scale, which is C. Right, so that is my rhythm, and I'm just going to quantize that by selecting them all and then pressing Command U on a Mac in Ableton, but there'll be a similar command in FL Studio or Logic as well. You might need to tweak a couple of them into place. And I'm going to move it all down a couple of octaves so we're in the bass range. That's better. Okay. So now all I need to do is press fold and then move those notes up and down until I have a bass line that I like. And that will be in the key of C major. So that is the bass line in C major. I'm just going to copy that and paste it to the second part of the loop. Just consolidate that clip so it's a bit neater. And now we will move on to the melody, which again we're going to write in C major. And you can do it again the same way, so listening to it and tapping out the rhythm that you like. But I'm just going to quickly program something in after I've drawn in my template of the scale of C major by counting the intervals. And if I'm only hitting the white notes, I know that it's going to be in the key of C major. And I want a really fast riff. I'm going to do it in 16ths, not 30 seconds. So I'm just using what we learnt in this module to keep thinking about rhythm and just to use the notes within that scale of keys of the key of C major. And I'll give a quick example of what you could do if you were using 30 seconds instead of 16ths. But that would usually be at the end of a bar or a phrase to lead into the next one. So let's just pull it back here a bit. We'll do it at the end of the 4 bars. And we're going to look at this in detail in the melody section in module 3. Just copy and paste that. Melodies often repeat because repetition breeds familiarity, and we as humans like things to sound familiar. Different enough not to be boring, but familiar enough not to be completely alien. Okay, and we are just going to copy and repeat those 4 bars. So we've got our 8-bar loop. And in fact, I will just copy all of those and shift them up 1 octave. So it's still the same notes, but just 1 octave higher. Okay, so that is my very rough idea of a bass line and a melody in C major using what we've learned in this first module. Now I'm going to do an idea in C minor, and to do that, all I'm going to do is change the notes in the template and count up from the root note in the minor intervals instead of the major intervals. So for the minor scale of C minor, we have got the root note, and then we've got count up 2 half steps, 1 half step, 2 half steps, 2 half steps, 1 half step, 2 half steps, and 2 half steps for the octave, and that is the key of C minor natural. So we'll just shift those over to the left so we can't hear them, and then all of the notes that don't fall on one of these templates we can shift, and then suddenly our bass line will actually be in a minor key, not a major key. So I think that looks about right. But actually we're not hitting any of the minor intervals, so that could work. That bass line could work in a song with minor chords or major chords. And I'll quickly prove that to you. I'll play a major chord with it. And now I'll play a minor chord with it, and the bass line will still work. So that is what we can do if we don't have any minor intervals, as long as we don't have a major third interval in there. Right, but I'm going to put some minor thirds just so we can hear it's a minor bass line. So now we can hear it's a minor. It's a bit darker. And we're going to do the same with our melody. We are going to, instead of using the major intervals, again, we're going to change them to the minor intervals. So it's the key of C minor. So we got the root note, 2 half steps, 1 half step, not 2, 2 half steps, 2 half steps, then 1 half step, then 2 half steps, and then 2 for the octave. 2 half steps for the octave. So we can see some of these notes are not falling on the minor key of C minor. So I'm just going to select them, zoom out a bit to make it easier to select them all. Right, I'm going to grab all those, I'm going to take them down to the minor third, and I'm going to grab all of these notes, which we can see do not fall in C minor, and then I'm going to take those upper semitone, and then I think we should be good. And this is now a melody in, here we go, this is now a melody in the key of C minor. So you can hear the difference between the major, which sounds a lot happier, and then the minor, which sounds a bit darker, maybe a little bit melancholic too. Now for the third part of exercise 1, I'd like you to do all of this again, but in the key of A minor. And there's a very good reason I've asked you to do that. It's because the intervals in the key of A minor are exactly the same as the intervals in C minor, but we're just counting up from the new root note, which is A. So I'm going to do that really quickly. Again, we will do it with the bass line that we've already written, but I encourage you to actually try and write a few different bass lines, and as long as you're working within the key, it's going to sound pretty good. Okay, so we will delete all of these notes, make sure our melody is muted, and then we will build our template from A. So there is our first note, A, and we will count up the minor intervals of A. And that is now the scale of A minor. So we'll move our template to the left, and now we will write our bass line in A minor. But let's choose a different bass sound for this example. We're going to make a more sustained bass. So all of these notes are in the key of A minor. And we'll just loop that. And the great thing about using these templates is that if you've got a major key or you've got a minor key, you can just transpose the whole key down several semitones or up several semitones, and the track's still going to work. So if you recall, in the melody we've still got our template of C minor drawn in, so we've got a couple of black notes there you can see. We're just going to copy everything, template and melody, down to the root note of A, which means now that melody is in the key of A minor, so it's going to work with our bass line. I guarantee it. Let's have a listen. Now the sounds are really rough. I haven't spent much time on the sound design, but it gives you an idea about what I like you to do in exercise 1, and just have fun with it. I mean, once you get a grip on these two sets of intervals, the majors and the minors, It really will open up a world of possibility for making your own melodies, chords and bass lines, which we're going to look at in the coming modules. So I'll see you there. Thanks. Hi, it's Will again. I hope you liked this video. Thanks for subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.